So, machine learning with Python. Why we need machine learning? Well, today we are surrounded by data. We are generating data at an enormous amount. We are in the midst of technology where we are dealing with lots and lots of data, and we require processing that data. We need to acquire knowledge, insight about that data. From driving a car and from toasting your bread, we are all surrounded by data. We use machine learning, we use data science, we use data analytics. In, for example, self-driving car, where you need not to drive your car. Your car will automatically drive. You just have to sit in that car and it will work. What is this all about? This is the use of data in an efficient manner. We are connecting all over the world with other people, with our friends. We are generating data. And trust me, guys, the amount of data that we are generating, we are not even using 1% of that data with that much efficiency, right? So there's a lot of data and there's a lot of scope to get something useful out of this data. Now, what is data science? What is that term, this data science? This data science is the study of data, the data that we are generating at this enormous amount. It involves developing methods for recording the data, storing of that data, and then analyzing that data to extract something useful, some knowledge, some information from that data. So the ultimate goal of data science is to get the insights and the knowledge from different kinds of data. For example, if you're using Facebook, then the Facebook messages, images. If you are on Twitter, then tweets. If you are on, or hashtags, if you are on Instagram, then the Insta post, Insta like, the comments, hashtags, top trending pages. All these are data. Using this data set, you can analyze a person's sentiment. You can analyze what is the current trending field in that particular area. You can analyze how a product is doing, the likeliness of a personality on social media, each and everything. There's a huge scope of knowledge that you can get from this data. Now, this data science comes up with three important factors. One of them is computer programming. So to be efficient in extracting that knowledge, you need to process data. You need to work on that data. So to work on that data, you need computer programming. Why? I will explain it to you. Then after that, you require maths and statistics. Most of us are good with programming. We know how to do the basic programming stuff. We can use functions, we can code. But when it comes to data science and machine learning, these fields require you to have good information, a good knowledge about maths and statistics, because these are the core foundations of, if you want to do research in these fields, if you want to play with the algorithms, you need to be good in statistics and maths. Machine learning is not just about using the already made libraries and putting in data, predicting something. You need to know, you need to have the knowledge about how these algorithms work, what is going behind your code. And then ultimately you need the substantive expertise. So what is that substantive expertise? That means to have the domain knowledge. So let's discuss all these components of data science one by one. Why computer programming? Because when you are working, when you are extracting the data, you are working on different platforms. For example, one example is the novel sources. So one of them is the use of apps like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Gmail. As you can see in this Jeff, that the amount, like if I'm using my smartphone, my laptop, I've so many devices with me. I'm on all these devices. What I'm ultimately doing, I'm generating data, lots and lots of data. Even on a single day, you swipe up so many of images on Instagram, on Facebook. What is that? That's ultimately generating the data, the time, the kind of post, the kind of hashtag, how many likes, how many comments, what kind of sentiment you have in those comments. All of this is data. But to get this data into a usable manner, that you should, the data that you have, it should be in a form that you can use that data. So to bring that data from, like, those tweets, those emails, those comments, so to work on this information, you have to bring that information to a data. And there are different kinds of data: image data, text data, forecasting data, so numeric data, language data. So all these different kinds of data sets require some expertise in programming so that you can deal with this stuff. Then challenging formats. Like I have told you, the kind of data we have different types of data. So for example, in this GIF, like this task is of image recognition, where you are looking at the image of a person and you are recognizing that this person is so and so based on the character, based on the facial characters that person has. So that's a challenging format. You have an image where this image will be a matrix of pixels, so many of pixels, n cross n matrix. And if it's a colored image, then it will be a 3D matrix of RGB, red, green, blue. So that's a complex data. To bring up that complex data to a useful form, you again require computer programming. Then the continuous streaming data. We are generating data at an alarming rate. So to deal with that continuous stream of data, to handle that continuous stream of data, processing that continuous stream of data, and ultimately achieving the knowledge or the insight that you want from that data, all that comes under the, all for doing all this stuff, you need computer programming. Then the role of mathematics. Why math is so important? To understand the form of mathematics that model is using: probability, Bayesian models, linear algebra, calculus, regression, optimization techniques. If you're optimizing something, you need to have a good knowledge of calculus. You need to know how to derive a function, how to reach up to the maxima, minima, optimized value of that function. Probability, like if you are predicting that what is the probability of, or what if you're predicting that this event will will happen at this time, so you are saying those results, you are predicting something that has a probability. So again, you need to calculate the probability for those events. Then the procedures, that how you are going to achieve your goal, how you are going to tackle that data, that algorithm. You need to have different procedures. You need to fit your question. You need to process that data and follow up the procedures. Then diagnosing the problem. If you fail at some point, if your algorithm is not working, if you are not getting the results as per your expectations. For example, if I think that I can predict this task with a 90% accuracy and I am achieving only 70% of that, the basic reason, the first thing that I should be good in knowing that where I'm doing that mistake, where everything is going wrong, so that I can rectify that. So if I understand that algorithm, I can understand that, okay, for this kind of data or for this kind of question, I can't use this algorithm because this algorithm is following these steps and I need to follow some other steps, right? That's why you also need to have a good understanding of mathematics. Then coming substantive expertise. What is substantive expertise? Substantive expertise means that you understand the domain. That, for example, if I am predicting what is the probability that this person could have cancer, or if I've given a cell, slides of a cell, then looking at those cells, I should be able to, for example, if I'm predicting whether that that cell is having a malignant tumor or a benign tumor. Malignant tumor is a cancerous tumor. So to predicting them, it's not just that I pick up my data, feed into my algorithm, and I'll do everything. No, you need to understand those parameters, that how blood pressure has to be, what is the role of blood pressure with cancer, what is the role of mitosis with cancer. So to have the background knowledge of your data, of your goal, what you are predicting, that is very important, and that's what is known as substantive expertise. So to work on the data, you need to be very thorough with the knowledge of that data. You should know that how that data is, how you'll use the parameters of your data, and how those parameters are linked with your uh, predicting the target data. I know I'm talking about this data so much, and you must be thinking that what I am talking about, these parameters, this target parameters and the parameters of the data. Don't worry, I'll explain each and everything. Just be relaxed and understand what I'm trying to say. Don't worry. Now, data science pathway. If you want to achieve, if you want to work in this field, what are the basic steps to work in this field? What is the pathway? Because it's very important that you understand the pathway, because if you won't know the correct pathway to work in a field or to achieve your goal, then you follow like it's shown in this gif, right? So it's very important that you follow the correct pathway, and let's begin with this. So first is planning. You require planning, then comes wrangling, then modeling, and then applying. So let's understand each and every term one by one. What is planning? Planning means you define your goals, you organize the resources, you coordinate with people, and then schedule your project. So that means that if, for example, if I'm working on a project, if I'm working on a data, then I need to first define my goals, that why I'm using this data, what is my goal to work on that data, what I want to achieve, what kind of knowledge that I'm looking for. Then the resources, like what what are what do I require to work on this to achieve my goal. Then I need to coordinate with people to have a discussion about the approach that I'll be using, and then we'll be scheduling the project. Then comes wrangling. When wrangling the data, first you require that data, then you have to clean that data, explore that data, and finally refine that data. Now, by cleaning, what I mean to say, for example, if in your data set, for example, okay, like you conduct a census survey, right? And there you have a, each and every person's salary, age, place, language, all these things. And in that data, if some of those data entries, there's the data is missing, right? So you have to clean that data first. You need your data to be in a consistent form, so that when you actually work, when you apply statistics techniques, there shouldn't be any null value, right? Then you explore the data, what parameters you require. And for example, if in case of a retail market data set, if you are given the cost price of one product and the number of product a person purchased, and if you are predicting that whether the person will achieve whether this customer is our good customer, or is it a bad customer. For example, what is the definition of good over here? If a person is doing a lot of shopping in a short span of time, that means it's spending more on your market, then that means that person is good. So to calculate that, what you have to do, first you need to multiply those two parameters. That means you have explored that these two parameters are required, and then you are converting those two parameters, cost of one product, the quantity of that product, into one product, that is the purchase of the customer. So the price of one product into the quantity, that will be the total purchase of that customer. So all these insights you require when you are working on that data. Then comes the modeling, where we create our models. I'll explain what is that model. I'll explain. After creating that model, we validate our models, we evaluate, and then we refine. Don't get confused. Just be in the flow, and after the end of this lecture, it will be very clear to you what I'm saying. Then applying, we deploy. After creating that complete model, after having the clear goal description, we work on our target, we complete the uh, approach, and then we apply that model in the real world practice. Now, in roles in data science, if you are good in data science, then what can be the opportunity for you to work in? It should be very clear to you that how you're going to use your skills, what are different areas where you can use your skills in an efficient manner. So a person can be an engineer, a machine learning specialist, can be a researcher, analyst, and yes, a manager. Now, too big. Okay, so we're talking about data so much. Now I'll show you what data looks like and what are different kinds of data that we have. Let me just shift to my screen. So guys, what is data? Now, this data can look like this, where what you have different parameters, right? These are all parameters of your data. So it's a CSV file over here, the one I'm taking in for the example. This one is a CSV file, right? And in this CSV file, we have these parameters. So one of these parameter is our target parameter that we call as a target parameter, right? Why it's target parameter? Because in this data, this is a data given to me for different instances where, depending on the climate conditions, I'm saying whether a person will play golf or not. So depending on the outlook, temperature, humidity, and wind, using these parameters, these are called as independent variables. So using these independent variables, what I'm trying to predict, I'm trying to work on this target parameter and trying to predict whether that person will play golf or not. As simple as that. And in that outlook data, I have these instances that if it's rainy, if it's hot, and the humidity is high, there is no wind, then the person will not play golf, right? And this is a very simple data set that I'm just showing you for the example. It's a very basic data set, and we use these kinds of data set and complex data. We use image data, stock price data, different kinds of data, sound signals, and temperature graphs. So there are different kinds of data that we use when we work in this field. So this one is a simple numeric data, a CSV file format data that I'm showing you as an example. Now, let's talk about this data versus information versus knowledge. So what is data? Data is the unprocessed facts and figures without any added interpretation. Let me just make it clear to you. For example, in this sentence, it's given the price of oranges is $80 per kg. So this is just a fact, right? There's this is a simple statement that the price of oranges is $80 per kg. Simple. Now, to convert that data to information, we need to have some interpretation of that information, meaning for the user, right? So the important term over here is the meaning for the user. Now the statement is changed over here. Now, in spite of saying that the price of orange is $80 per kg, now what I'm saying here is that the price of oranges has risen from $70 to $80 per kg. That means I'm showing that earlier the price of the oranges was $70 and now it's $80. That means the information that I'm getting is that there is a hike of $10 in the price of oranges. Then comes the knowledge. So we know what is data, we know what is information. Now we'll come up to knowledge. Knowledge is the combination of this information, experience, and insight. What it means? Here we see that there was a hike of $10 in the price of oranges, right? Now, in this example, we are saying when orange prices go up by $10 per kg, it is likely that market growth will also be affected in some ways. That means we had this information and now we are combining this information with the insight. We are not sure, but we are making an assumption that it's likely that the market growth will also be affected by some ways. That means combining the information with the insight and reaching up to the knowledge. So that's the difference between the data, information, and knowledge. So you are given your data, and if you apply some techniques over your data, you can reach up to information, and then processing that information, adding up more insights, you can reach up to the knowledge. That's the ultimately goal that we have when we are working on the data, right? Now, coming to the basic understanding, the path, the flow of data mining. So you have your data source, right? You are given your data source, you process your data, you explore your data, you mine, you present your data, and then using that presentation of the data, we make decisions on that data. So what I mean to say, for example, you are given a market data, right? And you want to predict that whether a person will buy that product. Okay, so you have a product, you have a new launch of a product, let's say MAC, Mac juice. Okay, so that's your product. Now what you will do, you'll gather the data that you want to predict. Okay, so you want to see that how this new product will do in your market. So you are doing the market analysis, so you are targeting customers, right? So what you will do, first you will gather the data of your customers. You'll gather this data from different data sources, then you'll process your data. So for example, what I'll try to do, for example, I'll separate my data based on the ages, for the youngsters, for millennials, for old age persons. I'll try to segregate the data. Or what I can do, for middle class families or rich families, poor families, to understand how this product will affect the lives of others, how the sales of this product will be affected by different parameters that I have in my data. Then I will do the statistical analysis using different statistics, for example, mean, variance, standard deviation, all these statistics. I'll explore that data. Then I'll do the mining. What mining means, I will, using those statistics, I will take out the group of the data, I'll combine it with my model, that okay, if this is the salary of that person, if the person belongs to so and so income bracket, then it is likely to buy my product. And then I'll do the presentation, I'll prepare bar graphs, pie chart, pivot tables, heat map, correlation metrics, different kinds of visualization, because it will make my task easier to present something. So for example, if I make a bar chart over here, and in that, okay, give me a minute. So for example, if I prepare a bar chart, and then bar chart, I prepare different bars, let's just say, sorry for that, right? And sorry, and this one is your salary, and this one is the sales of the product. Let's just say I present this visualization in my report. I am a data analyst and I am presenting this graph in my report. Then it's very easy for me to explain based on this graph. So for example, it's very clearly, when the salary of a person will increase, the sales of that, the more the salary the person has, the salary will, the sales of my product will increase. That means sales is directly proportional to salary, right? And then based on these presentations, these visualizations, the results, the statistics, I will decide, I will make the decision that okay, I should launch this product at this price, or I should launch this product first at this place, or what kind of uh, uh, campaign I require to promote my product, what social media should I target to promote my product. So all these knowledge comes from the basic data source, and this is we call as the understanding of data science and using it for business intelligence. Then the types of data we have. So first one is the nominal data. What is that? What is that nominal data? For example, like I have shown you, okay, I'm just again adding that image that I've shown you. So over here, I've shown you that this is the data set that we have. So this is the data set. This is the parameters that we have in that data. This is the target parameter, target value, or the target parameter. So here you can see this parameter is given to you like this. Now this okay, just give me a minute. So this parameter that we have over here, this can be of this form. For example, you have a parameter gender. Okay. So this parameter is the gender parameter. Now in that parameter, what you will be having, sorry, what you will be having is, like suppose this one is the gender, and in that you have different parameters like male, female, or female. So now in this data set, this in this parameter, or in this particular column, the kind of data you have simply labeled variables. You have simply the labels, whether it's a male or a female. So there is no quantitative value, that these are not quantitative value. What I mean to say, that you can't compare these two labels. You can't say that male is greater than female, or male is less than female, or male is equals to female, because these are just labels. What are they? These are labels. So you can't do the quantitative analysis of these labels. Similarly, in case of hair color, you have different values for that. First is The hair can be of brown color, black color, blonde, gray, or any other color. So you can't make that black color is greater than brown color or gray color is less than black color. So there's no quantitative analysis of this kind of data. That's why we call it as categorical data or nominal data. Then where do you live? North of the equator, south of the equator, in the International Space Station. So all of these kind of values in your data, these are called as categorical data. And for example, if I'm having in place of this play golf, okay, so what was my initial data? My initial data was play golf, right? So this play golf is having categorical data. It's only saying me no, yes, all that. So I can't say that playing golf, if I'm not playing golf, that event is greater than if I'm playing golf. There is no quantitative analysis. Then comes the ordinal data. In ordinal data, okay, like in this question, you have how do you feel today? Very unhappy, unhappy, okay, happy, very happy. Even if I give you this data in the form, let's just say happy, okay, sad, sad, very happy. And if I tell you to sort these emotions, whatever kind of sorting in ascending emotion, descending emotion, you can arrange that emotion like in this way. So from very unhappy, then neutral, then positive, then more positive. So you can have the order. Understand this term, the order. So the term that we are looking in this data is the order. So this data has a order, but again, still there is no proper quantitative analysis in this data. What I mean to say that this very unhappy and unhappy or okay and happy, the difference between these two values, this interval over here, there's no interval. You can't say that in difference between happy, unhappy, and very unhappy, there is this much percentage of emotion variation. You can't say that. For every other person, these labels will have different interval in between them. But ultimately, the order that you can see, that will be same for each one of us. Then we have now satisfy our how satisfy. Okay, this one I'll just stop it. How satisfied are you with our service? So in that you have the parameters very unsatisfied, somewhat unsatisfied, normal, somewhat satisfied, and very satisfied. Again, you can make the order in these parameters, in these labels of that parameter, but you can't do the quantitative analysis. You can't find, sorry guys, you can't find the interval between these parameters. Now the interval data, for example, I'm saying 29 degree, 30 degree. So you can clearly say that there is a difference of 1 degree over here, or there is a, from this 29 to 30, there is a rise of 1 degree. And similarly, 78, 79. So for example, if I have a percentage, if I have a parameter where the target parameter is house price. So if it's $100K, $150K, so you can say that the price of these two houses, there is a clear difference of $50K, and the price of this house is greater than this price house, right? So that's the interval data. Then we have binomial or binary data. So for example, in the example that I have used over here, this one, here you have either no or either yes. So that's a binary data. Only two different labels in your parameter. So that's binary data. Then comes the time. This is a continuous data that can be in the form of weeks, can be monthly data, or can be annual data. So that was about time. So now guys, we'll understand about the two big guns, the artificial intelligence and machine learning that are involved in this. Just give me a minute. So guys, now we'll talk about machine learning. What is machine learning? Everyone is saying there's so much boom. Everyone is talking about machine learning, data analytics, data science, artificial intelligence. But what is that machine learning exactly? How will use machine learning? Why is it so important? Why can't we just work on normal programming, the conventional programming that we were using? Why is not that enough now? Why we require this? Why is there so much need of machine learning? Let's understand this. Machine learning, the very basic definition that I'll give you, don't want to confuse you guys, but I'll be very clear with this definition. The ability of algorithms to learn from the data. Now, that means the ability, the algorithm that itself has the compute, that if the algorithm that you are coding in your computer, that algorithm has itself the the ability to learn by itself. Now, what that means, what that learning means, what is that ability means, how this is going to happen, how you can say that you are not clear about this definition. Why I'm saying that ability of algorithms to learn from the data are algorithms that the algorithms that we are using, the sorting algorithms, searching algorithms, dynamic programming, all that different algorithms, that's working perfectly fine. We are getting each and everything that we are doing, but still, why we require machine learning? What is the use of that? I'll explain each and everything to you. just just give me a minute. So guys, what is learning? When we are talking about this term machine learning, what are we trying to say about this learning? How the machines will learn? Now, very basic example. In your conventional programming or the basic programming that we are doing, for example, if I want to prepare a calculator, okay, in that case, it's very simple. I require, let's just say I want to add two numbers. So what I'll do, I'll initialize A, I'll initialize B, and then I will write a logic over it. So for addition, I want the addition of my data. So what I'll do, I will say return A plus B. That A plus B over here is the logic of my code, right? So when we are programming something, we always talk about what is the logic behind that programming, what algorithm, what data structure, what logic we are using to code that, right? Now, this is the conventional programming that we are doing and will be doing from from in the future also. There's no worry about that. We need that programming. But what machine learning do? This machine learning concepts, what they are doing, for example, in that case, I won't give this logic to my computer or to my program. In conventional programming, I am giving this logic, but in machine learning, I am not giving this logic. This logic is thought or processed by my computers only. That means the computer will itself think about that logic. How? What I'll do first, okay, I'll explain you with a very basic example. First, get very clear about that. In conventional programming, you need to fit your uh, program with the help of a logic. And how you verify your program? You give input, okay. First, let's just talk about this conventional programming. So how it works, you give an input, you use your logic, and your program gives a output. And then you compare this output with the actual test cases. So if you're working on CodeChef, HackerRank, GeeksforGeeks, LeetCode, whatever platform you're using, if you practice on a question, you read that question, you think about a logic, you code that logic, you give your program that logic. Your program is just doing the computation. Your program is not thinking. You are giving the logic to your program. You are saying your program that take A, take B, do A plus B and return that A plus B. Later on, that logic will be tested by the test cases. But that logic is not thought by your system, but it's given by you only to your system. Now, in case of machine learning, how machine learning works? What is that learning that we are talking? This learning. To understand this term, it's very important to understand what learning means. Very basic example. Now, I'm a student, right? Each one of us must have given any exam in her life, right? In that examination, what we are doing, we go to our colleges, we do go to schools, we attend online courses, we study books, we do each and everything. What we are doing, we are generating that data. What is the data? Data is question and answers. For example, if I'm a 10th class student, or I have a board exams, or I have a final exams. In that final exams, I'm doing the preparation for my final exams. I want to score good. So what I'm doing in that preparation, I must have attended some lectures. I have some notes. I have some sample papers with me. What I'll do, when I'll study, I'll prepare a question answer set with me. That will be the data for me, right? So that data we call as the training data at the time of training. Now, what are we training? What we are doing? We are doing is the preparation for the exam. So we are preparing for our exams. While preparing for the exam, why we are using this data, this training data? The goal is to train my model. That means to train my brain. I want my brain to think, to learn the logic. Now, you must be thinking that if I'm having the logic in my mind, like the conventional programming, I will use that logic. But no, that's not the case. That if you learn 10 questions and the corresponding 10 answers, only those 10 questions will come up in the exam. And you just need to mug up those 10 answers and write it on your exams. No, based on the understanding of these 10 question pairs, you will you will get you have the chance of getting 10 out of some other 10 out of pool of 1,000 questions. That 10 questions won't match with these question answers, but it will be in your syllabus, right? Understand this thing. Just don't think about that machine learning at all. Simply, you are a 10th class student, you have your examination, you want to prepare for your examination. What you have simply a booklet of question and answers, and you have to prepare for the exam. So for example, I'm preparing for the maths exam, for physics exam. I will make sure that I understand the concept. Our teachers always say to us that don't just cram the question answers, understand the concepts, and each and everything will be clear to you. Now, using those question and answers, applying different mathematics technique, doing different physics problem, I will understand where can I use this formula, what is the significance, what is the intuition behind using this formula, and I will prepare for this examination. I will train my model. So my brain is ready. So when I'm confident that I'm saying that that I'm ready for the examination. What I'm saying, my brain is telling me that, bro, go for your exam. You are, you have prepared well, you know the concepts, you can bang, you can do marvelous in your examination. Done. I will go to the examination hall. I will go for the exam, the final day. In your exam, now you have trained your model based on that training data set, right? Now, your examiner wants to test your knowledge, right? So how that examiner will test your knowledge? That examiner will give you a question paper, right? Now, this training data, here you had input, this question, and the output, the answers for those input or for those questions. But in your examination, your examiner will only give you the question paper. That means will only give you the inputs. So here you'll get the input, and using your model, your brain, that means your machine learning model, which is what? Which is brain. So using your machine learning model based on the training, how hard you have prepared for your examination, how well you have prepared for your examination, how better you have trained your brain, depending on that, you will give the answers for that exam. You have given your exams, you have given your answers, sorry, you have given your answers for that questions based on the logic, based on, again, based on the logic that your mind has prepared. Your brain has automatically thought of different logics, that if I get this question, do this approach, this question, do this approach. Why I'm saying your brain is doing all this stuff? Because these questions and these questions are not 100% same. These questions are absolutely different. The only thing that's matching over here is the logic, sorry, is the concept. So if you are in, you get your syllabus, right? Before examination, your examiner says you that this will be the syllabus for your exam. So nothing will be out of syllabus. That means that each and everything will have the same concept. So while doing this part, you were training your brain and you were preparing the logic in your brain. And at the time of examination, your brain was thinking those logics, applying those concepts on these input and answering in your exam. And you complete your examination, you write all the answers in your exam answer sheet and you submit that answer sheet. Done. Then comes the time of results, right? At that time, you will compare your results, your answers with the actual answers. How? What your examiner will do? Your examiner will have an answer key. The answer key. The actual answers of these questions. And now the examiner will test the performance, the accuracy, the prediction of your brain. How? The examiner will take your answer sheet. There you will be having the answers that you have submit, right? Then you'll compare those, the examiner will compare your answers with the actual answers in the answer sheet. Let's just say you have 10 questions in your exam, and 9 of those questions out of 10, out of these 10, 9 out of 10 questions matched with your actual answers. That means your result will be 90%. Why? Because out of, so it will be 9 by 10 into 100, so that will be 90%. So this will be the percentage that you have scored in your board examination. This is how we work in machine learning. Now let's understand this. In machine learning, I have my data where I'll be having the input and the output parameter that I'm trying to predict. Then I will feed this data to my model. I will not give any logic to my model. I won't say that you need to do something. I will just feed that to my model, my machine learning model. My machine learning model will automatically think. I'm writing this, automatically think of logic and gets trained. This is the training part. Using the input and output, my machine learning model will get trained. Now, after my machine learning model is trained, I will evaluate the performance of my machine learning model with the I have my machine learning model. Now I will evaluate my model. I will feed in some other input to my model. My model hasn't seen this input uh, at any point of time, and using the logic that my model has prepared, my model will apply logic on this input and will predict the output. Then I will compare this prediction with the actual answers of this input. And then I will say the result, that how accurate my machine learning model was to predict something. Like in case of weather forecasting, if that model is predicting that it will going to be rain today, that model is thinking by itself. And then when it's predict, you check whether it's rained or not, and then you say that this model will do the prediction, this prediction will be this much accurate. The chances of this prediction to be accurate is it's 90%, right? So guys, this is very interesting, that your model will learn by itself. You just feed in data and your model will look at that data and will think about the logic itself. That's why this machine learning is very important, because you can't prepare if else loop for each and everything. You can't program. Ultimately, you need to think. For example, if I have a data set of cats and dogs, right? Just understand, if you're looking at a cat and if you're looking at a dog, you can clearly recognize whether it's a cat or a dog. But now let's just compare yourself with a 2 year 2 year old kid, or let's just say a 3 year old kid. That kid is not that efficient to recognize whether it's a cat or dog. It can get confused, but we teach that kid that this is a cat and this is a dog. And like we now at this point of time, if I have to say that whether this animal is a cat or a dog, I can do within the fraction of milliseconds or microseconds. My brain is so quick, the model, my brain has trained so fast that for me to answer that, it's very easy. I'll be looking at some features that, okay, cat look like this, dog look like this, and I'll say that this is a cat or dog. But now understand, for you to hard code that thing, for you to decide the logic to give it to your computer and say that, okay, program, use this logic and say whether it's a cat or dog, that's not feasible. You can't you can't prepare so many if else loop for each and every pixel. So uh, so that for in that case, you can't rely on programming. Here we need machine learning. We feed in these images to machine learning model, and this machine learning model, at the time of training, I will tell my model, like we train a 2 year old kid. We tell that kid that this image is for cat, this image is for dog. Similarly, I feed in the images to my model and I say that this image is for cat and this image is for dog. Now I'm telling the input and output. Normal programming, you give input and logic, and then your model give output, right? But in machine learning, at the time of training, you give input and output, Your machine learning model will learn all the logics, features, each and everything. Then machine learning model says that, sir, I am 100% ready to predict now. Then I give only the images and my model, I won't tell the features, but my model based on the learning will predict for me that whether it's a cat or dog. So that's very interesting. It gives you an immense power to predict something, to work on that intense, that highly complex data. You have the power to do all these tasks. So just give me a minute. So guys, this was all about the basic understanding of data science and machine learning. And guys, now I will introduce you with the course that we are going to launch on Geeks4Geeks platform. That is Machine Learning Foundation with Python. And I'll be mentoring this course. And in this course, we'll be using Python language, and we will be working on each and everything. We will cover the concepts, we will cover the maths, we will we will derive our algorithms, we will see how maths plays, the mathematics, how mathematics is very important for our machine learning models, for the understanding of our algorithms. And we'll be working on different projects. We will use our knowledge in real world data set. We will try to predict, and you'll feel that you have the power to now work on different perspectives. You can work on health related data sets like COVID data sets. You can work on retail market data set. You can work on weather forecasting data set. You can work to predict stock price market data set. You'll have the power in your hand. If I'll encourage you guys to enroll for this course and learn this field. It's very amazing. The concepts are very amazing to learn. And now I'll show you that what we have in this. So if this entire course will have 12 lectures, each lecture will be of 3 hours, and we'll be covering different concepts. For example, in the first lecture, we'll be talking about the basics, the libraries that we require. In second lecture, and yeah, don't worry if you're not good with your programming skills. If you are just a beginner in programming, even in that case, don't need to bother about anything. We will cover each and everything. Yeah, we are working this we are using Python in this course, so I'll explain Python in detail so that it will be efficient for you to start this field, or to good in this field actually. So we will learn about hands-on Python. We will learn the syntax, data structures in Python. Then we will understand the libraries. This NumPy is a library, so we will learn about that libraries. Then in the next lecture, we will talk about how we can deal with data, categorical data, how we can scale our data, split our data, handle missing values. Then we will go to the machine learning models. So there are different kinds of models: regression model, classification model, clustering models. So we will understand each and everything. So like the first algorithm that we'll understand is linear regression intuition. So that linear regression model, we will cover each and everything: the maths, the derivation, scratch code, library code, project, each and everything will be covered in this course. So regression, then some other regression algorithms in lecture 6, some more regression algorithms. Then we will talk about the classifiers. We'll build a project. We will use the Titanic dataset, the actual Titanic dataset, and using that dataset, we will try to predict that what was the survival probability of a person. Then in lecture 8, we'll talk about the clustering algorithms, and there also we will be working on a project. We'll be using each and every knowledge in real world data set, and we will use a retail market data set to analyze how the customers are, how we have to target our customers. Then we will use natural language processing to deal with the messages, the text messages, tweets. For example, in Gmail, Now your data gets separated in forums, updates, social, or like this. So your emails are automatically getting categorized. Why? Because there the Gmail is using that machine learning model which can process your text, which can get the knowledge from your text. So we will learn how we can do that task using this NLP, natural language processing. And again, we will applying those concepts in the project spam and ham email classification. Then in lecture 10, like in programming, we follow platforms CodeShare, GeeksforGeeks, HackerRank, LeetCode, so many others. In data science, my favorite one is Kaggle, where we need to compete with different data scientists on real world challenges. Like companies like Cisco, Google, Microsoft, they host their data set over there. They give you a challenge to solve their their target based on that data. So we're learning each and everything. And again, we will apply the concepts that we have learned. We will detect hacks in PUBG game. We most of us play PUBG, right? So you in that PUBG game, we will using that data will detect whether this player have used any mod APK, whether is there any hack in this game or not. And what also we are doing, what we will do, we will analyze how the developers, like in our field, how developers are working on Stack Overflow. Using a Stack Overflow survey data, we'll understand that how developers are working, which language is trending. For example, if I'm a machine learning engineer, then I will see that which language is in trend now, which database is in trend now, or what is the likeliness of this data set to get to be in trend in future, so that I can learn it now and it can help me in future. Each and everything we'll cover in our lectures. Then in the lecture 11, we'll do a real world project where we'll try to work on human activity recognition using smartphone data set, using the data from your gyroscope, accelerometer. We will we will predict your activities, that are you standing, are you walking, using machine learning models. And then in lecture 12, what we'll do in the final lecture, we'll talk about deep learning. I'll show you very amazing visualizations to understand how neural networks work, how convolution neural network work, what is that deep learning, why this deep learning is having an extra edge over machine learning. And then we'll be having the doubts and discussion. And even okay, and this course on weekends, these lectures will be on weekends, from on Saturday and Sunday. So it will be a 6-week course with 12 lectures. And even if you're working on your codes, you are working on your the study material, at whatever point you will be having any doubt, I will be there to clarify those doubts for you. So this course is meant for you guys. If you are just a beginner, if you are a first year student, second year student, working professional, doesn't matter. If you love machine learning, if you want to learn about machine learning, you want to learn something new, and if you trust me, then please go ahead and enroll for this course. So guys, this was all for today's lecture, and thanks a lot for having me over here. We'll see you soon. Best of luck.